Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame, it's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there to my actual left, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. We are both done with school for the 2022 calendar year.
Yeah.
We're going into this is our last full year of school.
Yep.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
And the Mets have done so much this offseason that we split their moves into two shows.
Yeah, we split their moves. Carlos Correa has been so active that we are talking about two of his signings.
He loves being a free agent so much.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't do a first-year opt-out again.
Every single year.
Yeah, he just loves being on the market. This one was not his doing, though, apparently. So, yeah, the story is, big news, Carlos Correa last week, he agreed to sign a 13-year, $350 million deal with the San Francisco Giants. Apparently something went wrong with the physical, like he failed the physical, and they were probably looking to renegotiate, and Correa was basically right back on the market, and the Mets just swooped him up, signed him to a 12, or at least agreed to a 12-year.
This is so far, just agreed to.
To a 12-year, $315 million deal. He's probably going to play third base beside Francisco Lindor. Pending a physical, I guess.
Yeah. But, hypothetically, if he's taking the same physical, the Mets are probably just going to be like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. True. Very true. What
is he going to do? Is he going to fail the same physical again? What are the Mets going to test him differently? Just be like, just so he doesn't fail, we're going to manipulate this test a little bit here so that it looks good on our end.
Yeah, I saw that. There was a meme, I forget who sent it out, but the Mets with their physical, and it was that video of the security guard that he just does a circle with his arms and basically passes people
with the machine that metal detects.
Yeah. So I think that was a very funny thing, but yeah, I think he's gonna fail whatever that is, and they're gonna be like, we'll still sign you, though.
He did lose, $35 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, basically the equivalent to 1 year, because he also lost a year anyway.
Yeah.
He really didn't lose an outrageous much.
Yeah, right.
He's getting around the same deal for the first 12 years.
Yep.
And then in 2035, he's going to be like, man, what could have been?
Yeah, right.
Past that physical at the ripe age of 40.
But yeah, the only time I can remember something like this, definitely not to this magnitude, but I remember in 2013, Mike Napoli with the Red Sox originally signed a 3-year, $39 million deal, and then there was something with the physical, something with his back, or there was new medical information on him, and it got switched to a 1-year, $5 million deal. So I was wondering if it was going to be. I didn't think it would be that extreme. But I wondered if there was going to be some years cut off of the deal. There was
also, this wasn't free agency, it was a trade, but in 2015, that Mets-Brewers trade that was supposed to send Wilmer Flores and Zach Wheeler to the Brewers for Carlos Gonzalez, and one of those players failed their physicals, and that's why that deal didn't happen, I believe it was.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that was the whole, Wilmer Flores crying on the field because he thought he had gotten traded.
Yeah.
And then Carlos Gomez went to the Astros, and the only bad move the Astros have ever made.
Right.
Because they gave up so much in that deal.
Yeah.
Which in the grand scheme of things, it isn't that outrageous. I remember Domingo Santana was in it, and he had a 30-homer season.
Right.
Now I want to check out that trade.
But yeah, to we'll get back to that. But yeah, it's pretty extraordinary that this happened. It's never happened to this magnitude.
So every player that the Brewers got did have some sort of value. So they traded Carlos Gomez and Mike Fiers to the Astros. They got back Brett Phillips, who probably contributed the least to the Brewers, but he's a name at least. He became somebody, even if it was in Tampa. Josh Hader goes without saying. Domingo Santana had a 30-homer season in 2017, and then Adrian Hauser, who is their 4th starter currently.
Yeah, that was a really particularly bad move for the Astros with Mike Fiers in it.
Yeah, infinitely worse than any on paper statistics can tell you.
Yeah.
Dude, someone needs to make like a butterfly effect video. It's like the failed physicals of Wilmer Flores led to the Astros, getting booed at every stadium for like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and just Jeff Luhnow not having a career.
Yeah, literally.
That's what happened. Yeah.
AJ Hinch managing the Tigers.
Right.
Dusty Baker winning a ring.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker literally won a ring because of a failed physical from 7 years prior.
Oh my God.
Wow, we just uncovered something.
That's for sure. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, at least Mike Fiers did throw a no-hitter.
He did throw.
So I'm sure it was all worth it.
Did he throw 2 with the Astros or just 1? Because I think he's thrown 2.
He definitely threw 1 against the Dodgers.
I think he had 1 against the Reds too.
That
was with the A's.
That was what he did with the A's. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he did not have 2 with the Astros.
Dude, he and Homer Bailey on the 2 no-hitter list.
Yep.
Homer Bailey had back-to-back. Like, league-wise, like he threw 2 before anyone else had thrown 1 in between.
Yeah, right.
Who else? Obviously, Nolan Ryan is 7. Tim Lincecum is 2.
Sandy Koufax is 4.
Koufax is 4. Jake Arrieta had 2 in the same season, I believe. Or no, he had 1 in the end of 2015, 1 in 2016. Max Scherzer is 2.
Verlander has 3.
Verlander is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah. Back to Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
What do you think about him? He's going to be playing third base. What do you think about that?
I haven't checked if he's played it before. I mean, I'm sure it won't be drastically different. It's weird that they have 2 like really great defensive shortstops and they have to pick between them.
Yeah.
They've already committed to Lindor first, so I would keep him there. Plus, he's probably better defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, Correa is probably not going to be as effective defensively at third base than he was at shortstop, but regardless, I'm sure he'll still be fine.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes. I could see it going 2 different directions.
I would love to see what the 2034 Mets in middle infield looks like.
Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting. I could see it going, 2 different directions. Like I could see it decreasing his defensive value, but I could see it being like, I don't know if it'll work exactly like this, but like Trevor Story, he was a lifetime shortstop. He went to Boston, and I think he had the most outs above average he ever had in his career, or maybe second most in a limited amount of games.
Yeah.
And second base is considered a less hard position.
That is true. They adjust positionally.
Yeah, and Correa is, he'd be going to a less difficult position in third base, or what's considered as. So he might, be able to maximize like the defensive value of third base for the Mets. And along with that, I did just check. Lindor's arm strength is 37th percentile. Correa's is 72nd. So, having a guy at third base with that arm strength
makes better sense.
Might make more sense. So, I mean, this will be. It's just hilarious, this Mets team.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, no doubt.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the Giants, man. Like, it's not even, who are you supposed to blame here?
Right.
You can't blame ownership. They were willing to give him 13 years and $350 million.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that they aren't committed to winning or they didn't do the right things. And also, the Correa medicals took a week to come out, and by then the rest of the shortstop market had already depleted, which it was really only one other guy. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, who are you supposed to get angry at in the Giants organization? There really isn't anyone. Like, they tried to get Aaron Judge. It didn't work out. Like, the Yankees just matched their offer, and Judge clearly just wanted to be a Yankee.
Yeah.
And we mentioned last episode how we don't really think San Francisco was that, like, attractive for Judge.
Yeah.
But you know what? The Giants did what they could, and it just didn't work. And then they finally got Correa, and then a week later, the rest of the free agents were off the board, and, oh, never mind, we don't have Correa. He's a Met, actually.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
It sucks.
That hardcore sucks.
It's really depleting as a fan, I imagine, because, I mean, now looking at, because we talked about San Francisco not being an attractive option for Judge, and one of the things I mentioned was, like, who would Judge be excited to play with for, like, the next 2-3 years besides Logan Webb?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of stardom there right now. There's a lot of people that need to be developed. I read up Ken Rosenthal's article on The Athletic. The headline said, Scott Boras as Giants had, quote-unquote, reasonable time to execute Carlos Correa deal. And one of the quotes is, we reached an agreement. We had a letter of agreement. We gave them a time frame to execute it, Boras said. They advised us they still had questions. They still wanted to talk to other people, other doctors, go through it. I said, look, I've given you a reasonable time. We need to move forward on this. Give me a time frame. If you're not going to execute, I need to go to talk with other teams. So I guess there was something with the doctors, the medical team. It does make sense that, like, the Mets and Steve Cohen would have zero concern.
Yeah.
Given how much they're spending right now.
With tax, they're going to spend $495 million on this team.
Yeah, it's literally
almost
insane.
$500 million. And they're probably going to, like, that's only with arbitration estimates. Like, it could go over. And they might also sign more people. Like they've said, like they've suggested, we're not done yet.
Right, yeah. Like, Correa's whatever, $28 million or whatever he's going to make is going to be, like, less than 10% of the payroll.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Mets are too worried about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the Giants saw something. Correa is someone who, at least earlier in career, had a bit of an injury history.
Mm-hmm. 2019, he was hurt.
Yeah, I think, yeah,
Or 2017, I believe.
Yeah, 2017, he probably would have won MVP if he wasn't hurt. Yeah, but
instead it went to Jose Altuve, his teammate.
But yeah, pretty wild how that turned out. Never really seen anything like this.
Not on this big of a stage, so to speak.
Definitely not. No. Without, the most sought after shortstop on the market.
I don't know if you've seen this, but like a day or two ago, ESPN announced, like, the Sunday night baseball schedule for the first month of the season. And on April 23rd, Mets Giants in San Francisco.
Oh my god!
Like, what are the Giants fans gonna do? They can't really boo Correa. Like,
right.
He wanted to play for them.
Yeah.
And the
true.
Giants were like, actually, never mind.
Yeah. I also saw the Rangers in there twice, which is like.
Yeah. It's
you
like,
better hope
all right, yeah.
You better hope DeGrom is starting at least one of those games.
Yeah, it's what, Astros Rangers and Phillies Rangers, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's on. I think it was on April 2nd, which is like the third day of the season. So there's no way DeGrom's starting unless he's like day to day to start the season or something.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
I don't think they're not gonna slate him on opening day.
Yeah.
Like, what are they just like? Oh, we want to honor John Gray because he's been with the team longer, so he will be our opening day starter. No, they're not gonna do that.
Oh no, we got Andrew Heaney and Ranger Suarez to.
Ranger Suarez.
Or wait.
Yep. Yeah, well, then maybe they just want the Ranger Suarez versus the Rangers matchup.
Yeah,
that's what they're really going for.
That would be good. That would be good.
It's just the stupid broadcast jokes would be legendary.
Oh yeah. The traitorous Ranger Suarez going against his own people. Anything more on the Correa deal?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I mean, there's been so much talk about, like, is Steve Cohen good for baseball? And it's like, yes. Yeah, I do think so. I think it's cool that he's basically just a big Mets fan that's really rich that wants them to win.
Absolutely, and also
Like we need more people like that.
As someone who's watched their team kind of be shy in the little shyer
That's
in the
an
offseason
understatement.
than I would have liked.
Especially on the free agent market.
It makes them look extra bad.
Yeah, it frustrates the fans of teams that don't spend a lot more because it's like, hey, why can't we do like a fraction of this?
Because it's like I don't think this is a good financial investment for the team, and it's like Steve Cohen, he's just handing out $300 million contracts
like
willy-nilly. Yeah, like $40 million AAVs. Just here you go.
I mean, what he's got: Scherzer, Verlander, Correa, Lindor.
Yeah,
Nimmo, who we just signed, Senga, who's gonna get like $15 million a year. That's like 3% of the payroll.
Yeah. Quintana's getting $13 million a year.
Yeah. McNeil's gonna start, entering the later arbitration years, so he's gonna ask for a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's great, especially if you're a fan of another team, you're probably kind of, unless you're maybe an NL East fan, it's probably like inspiring to be like, okay, this guy's like, he's setting an example of like what is capable.
I was like, how do you think like Mike Rizzo, Dave Dombrowski, Kim Ng, and Alex Antopoulos feel right now?
Right.
They're just like, Jesus Christ, this is what we have to compete with. Like for the, it's not even like he's under a contract; it's the owner.
Yeah, and
like he's there until he wants, as long as he wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like Alex Antopoulos is like signing these crazy team-friendly deals and he's still getting outdone because the guy wants to spend $500 million on his team.
Yeah. The poor Nationals are like, what are we even supposed to do?
Right.
It's a good thing all 4 of the other teams have won a World Series in the last 20 years that they can hold on to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very, very true.
For the Marlins, it's exactly 20 years next year.
Yeah. It's funny, like they're one of those teams who fake snapped their playoff drought. Like it's weird to say they've been to the playoffs since 2003, but
yeah,
they technically did.
They've won a series more recently than most teams.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they've won a playoff series more recently than what? Like the Cardinals?
Right.
Won a series
any AL Central team.
Any Central team, period, I think.
Right. Yeah, because Brewers, Cardinals.
Lost, the Brewers lost last year. I guess the Guardians in the wild card series.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. They finally won.
Yeah.
They finally won a series.
Yeah, the Marlins have won a playoff series more recently than the entire NL Central.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
That's very funny. Very funny. I think that I did see this one whiny column. I forget what his name was. David something.
What publication?
Man, I forget, but someone quote tweeted it, and it was it was something. The ratio was it was a satisfying ratio. It was like 192 to 13 or something like that.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
In quote tweets to retweets, but it was basically the crux of it was like, I grew up rooting for the Mets as like a kind of a plucky, scrappy team. And
Come on.
And like now this is...
I hate that the team is trying even harder to win.
Right.
The Mets, how good were the Mets when this person grew up?
Oh yeah, David Axelrod. The tweet linking to the article, or actually it's a link to the article about Correa. He said, as a kid growing up in New York City, I loved the Mets because they were plucky underdogs. Now they're the team who anyone who loves baseball should root against, with a disreputable owner who is blatantly trying to buy a title that you have to hope he fails.
Every team has bought a title in some way.
Yeah.
Like the Astros extended Jose Altuve. I know that he's homegrown, but they bought that year.
Yep.
Regardless of what you want to think about it, they bought that year, right?
Yeah.
They bought Justin Verlander.
Right. Yeah, bought him back.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's weird. Especially I would have had that take 10 years ago when I don't know, all the baseball media I knew was like local, like boomers talking about all sports and like, they're because I think in Boston you're known to be like, oh, the Yankees buy all their titles, and then you realize, it's better than
not having titles.
Better than having a $90 million payroll and being in last place.
I would say I'd much rather buy a title than like try to be like the Guardians or the Pirates or the A's or the Rays and try to buy people in on the, hey, we don't spend and we're good.
Right.
You should respect us.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know, think about how much better those teams would be if they spent some money.
Right, yeah.
Like, what if the 2020 Rays, what if they spent big on one guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that would literally be the...
that could be the difference maker.
That would literally be the Dodgers, and now, I know people would say, yeah, Dodgers have only won one fake title in their run, but, like, I mean, they should, like, they're winning 100 games left and right.
Exactly.
It's just bad luck / just terrible execution in the playoffs. But I don't think it has to do with how good the team actually is. Anything more on this before we get into the teams we did not cover in part 1 of this free agency breakdown?
Let's just get right to it because we are on a little bit of a time crunch.
Little bit.
Tiny bit.
We'll
probably be fine, but...
We got people and this is their last night at the house.
Yeah.
Need to celebrate, have some fun with our roommates. But the biggest deal, what we thought was going to be the biggest deal we were going to be talking about today, was Dansby Swanson signing 7 years, $177 million with the Chicago Cubs. What did you think about this one?
I think it's cool. I mean, for the Cubs, they obviously needed to get somebody, and this was the answer. There's been a lot of pushback against it, and I always said, like, I thought Dansby had a potential to be an overpay. Honestly, I don't think this is that outrageous. I was worried he was going to get, like, upwards of, like, 190, maybe even 200 mil.
Right.
But 177 is, it's whatever. Maybe the Cubs are regretting it by the year, like, 2029, but, like, Tom Ricketts is rich enough. He can afford it.
Right, exactly. And, I mean, for this market, this isn't a bad deal.
Yeah.
At all. Last year, if he signed it, maybe it would have been like 5 years, 125 or something like that. But yeah, for this market, it's not a bad deal. But I think what this deal represents is like this guy had a fantastic year.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna get his 2021 season, if we're being completely honest.
2022 season.
Or 2022 season, yeah.
Yeah, because I put this out as a tweet saying, like, because, I mean, Red Sox fans, a shortstop comes off the market and it's like, end of the world. But Dansby Swanson, prior to 2022, had no seasons with 4+ F/WAR or 10+ outs above average, and he had no full year with 100+ weighted runs created plus. So, who knows if his performance last year, where he had, 6.4 wins above replacement and 21 outs above average and like a 115 weighted runs created plus. Who knows if that's sustainable? My prediction is it won't be. And who knows how much of a, how good he can be or how much of a flop this can be. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Also, what do you think about like the direction of the Cubs right now?
It's very interesting. I mean, they definitely needed a guy to build around, and I don't think they really have anyone on any big financial commitment right now that I can think of off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked too much into them, admittedly. I mean, they got so they have Dansby, who's their 2-hitter. They have Ian Happ, who's 1 year away from free agency. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I saw this team over the summer, and I was, I know all the names of the players because I occasionally do watch Cubs games. Yeah. And I was like, even still, I'm like, man, who are these guys?
Right.
Like, not like I understand who they are as people and players and what position they play, but I'm like, future-wise, who are these guys? Who is Alfonso Rivas? Who is Christopher Morel?
Yeah.
Nico Horner, P.J. Higgins, Patrick Wisdom.
Yeah. It's a bunch of create computer generated players.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I think they have a lot of potential in the rotation. I wish they would make Hayden Wesneski a starter. He's not even listed on the Fangraphs projected roster currently.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish they would replace like Adrian Sampson or even Kyle Hendricks with him. I get that they probably won't take Hendricks out of the rotation anytime soon, but I don't know. I mean, what are you gaining from him in the year 2023?
Right, exactly. The Cubs are interesting. They went 74-88 last year, which put them like 18 or 19. Yeah, I think 19 games out of the Central lead. What's important to note is like with the status of the NL Central.
Yep.
They haven't been a good division in a while, and it's going to remain that way based on how this offseason is kind of turned out.
And I believe the Brewers have not spent on a single free agent this entire offseason.
Yeah, which is odd coming off a down year.
Pretty disappointing.
Like they just did. But yeah, it's kind of a weird roster. Maybe a little bit on the younger side. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but like farm system, I just looked up. Not the worst. They are 10th.
Not the worst, but I'm also not impressed with some of their top prospects and how they performed this year.
Oh yeah, Brennan Davis.
Specifically him.
Brennan Davis, he was a top 15 prospect coming into last year, and then he had, I think he had like a 500-something OPS in the minors.
All of their top prospects, except for Brennan Davis, are like, well, I guess Pete Crow Armstrong is there, but like a lot of them are in like rookie ball or like, high A. Like we're not going to see a lot of them for a while. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think that can be a really good piece. I watched him in I think it was 2019. I watched him in like the like perfect game, like All-America game or whatever, because it was televised, and I was like, yeah, why not? And he was like the standout player. I wanted the Red Sox to draft him. The Mets did. And they ultimately traded him for Javier Baez for 2 months. I think that could end up being a big steal for the Cubs. He finished the year in Double-A last year, so if he comes up this year, it'll be for like half the season.
Yeah, for a Mets team that did not make the playoffs
or finish 500.
Yeah, or do that. I think what I worry with the Cubs is I think they're going for like the flop candidates in the free agent market lately.
Yeah.
I think it started last year with Marcus Stroman, who he was coming off a year where his ERA was 3.02. However, his expected ERA was 4.33 or something like that, or like way above his actual ERA. And they gave him 3 years, $72 million. This year he has, a decent year, but a 1.17 ERA plus is not necessarily what you're looking for from a guy you're spending $24 million a year on. With Dansby Swanson, I think he's a big overpay candidate as well. And then with the next signing we'll probably talk about, Jameson Taillon, where they're spending $17 million a year on this guy.
Yeah.
That's concerning as well. So, like, especially for a team who is sort of lacking direction, adding these free agents who might miss, I think it could screw up their future. Because, hey, they could be good in, 3 years. But it would suck if, Taillon and, or I guess Stroman wouldn't be under contract. But it would suck if someone like Taillon was clogging up salary space that they wanted to use for somebody else.
I think Taillon does have a lot of potential with the Cubs. He is coming off of a year, and also he's just been doing this for a couple years now, where he has very good strikeout to walk numbers. The only thing that really kills him is the home run ball, and I think Wrigley Field will play to those abilities much more than Yankee Stadium, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And even maybe just a change of scenery in general. He's always had very good strikeout to walk numbers. Last year was the second best he's had in a season with at least 100 innings pitched at 4.72. He gave up 32 walks in 177 innings, but also 26 home runs. So that's obviously the thing you need to see change. He has over the last, between 2019 and 2022, he didn't pitch in 2020, but over the last 3 seasons, he has exactly a 100 ERA plus.
Yeah.
That's what the Cubs are paying, 18 mil for the next 4 years?
17.
17 mil.
Right.
Let me look at his home road splits last year. I wonder if those helped him out.
I guess
He was better at home, actually.
possibly an argument you could use with Taillon is he pitched better when he was in the NL Central with the Pirates, but also that was before a lot of things panned out.
He was much worse on the road, actually.
But like when he was with the Pirates and succeeding with the Pirates, he was kind of in a different place in his career. That was pre Tommy John, and then there was another medical thing that unfortunately he had to go through.
Yeah.
But like a lot of stuff has happened since he was, his 2019 self, which was, the best version of himself, where he not 2019, 2018 self, where he threw 191 innings and had a 3.20 ERA. Good strikeout to walk numbers, as you mentioned. So like he was in a good spot there, but it's been 4 years, and in 2023 it'll have been 5 years. So it's interesting to commit to that guy, both in years and money.
In his last 22 starts of last year, he had a 4.7 ERA and a 4.48 FIP.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, he just has to cut down on the home runs, and it looks like it haunted him a lot more on the road than it did at Yankee Stadium last year. Wrigley is definitely better for keeping balls in the park than most, I'd say.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah. When I put notes for Taillon, I just took a screenshot of his Baseball Savant profile, which says 34th percentile expected ERA, 17th percentile expected slugging. So not the best. I should look at the expected home run little thing there with the Cubs, but
real quick, just a note. So I mentioned Wrigley Field being better with holding in home runs. The park factor for Wrigley in 2022 for home runs was 87, which means that home runs are hit at Wrigley 13% below the league average. At Yankee Stadium last year, it was 103, so a little bit above the league average. Not crazy high, but also much more beneficial for a guy like Jameson Taillon for a home ballpark.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting angle to look at it from. Change of scenery could help him. Change of division could help him. He's obviously going to be
facing a much worse division,
right?
Especially with offenses,
right.
Instead of having to face Devers and Adley Rutschman and the entire Blue Jays lineup, he's going to be facing the Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates, Reds.
Yeah, that's a better situation to be in for sure. If you're looking,
so I think the potential's there.
Yeah.
Is it ever going to be worth 17 mil over 4 years? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't, I guess.
Yeah. Last signing, it was their first signing, first big signing, but last thing we'll talk about with the Cubs. They signed Cody Bellinger for 1 year, $17.5 million. What'd you think about Cody Bellinger signing for that 1 year deal?
It's so insane, the idea of him being non-tendered.
Right.
I can't
very much so.
He was an MVP when we were both in college.
Yep.
And now he's getting non-tendered. That's different.
Right.
It's not, he wasn't DFA'd. He wasn't, he was non-tendered. That takes a lot.
It's surprising, no doubt. But he got basically what a qualifying offer would be. He got $17.5 million. This is despite him having very poor numbers for an extended amount of time now, I guess you could say. I mean, he has not been close to the level he was at in 2019 when he won that MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And since he won that MVP, he is hitting .203 with a 648 OPS and a 74 OPS plus. He's been 26% worse than league average at the plate since he won his MVP. but they gave $17.5 million to him. It's not a long-term commitment, which is good. What did you think about this signing?
I mean, I think it's a good one for the Cubs. What was it, 1 year, $10 million or something like that?
I think it was 17.5.
Okay, 17.5. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the qualifying offer, a little less than that. I know that your no was how long are we going to talk about his potential, and I get it, because we just haven't seen it from him for way too long now. You know, it's easy to excuse after 2020.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people struggled in 2020, and you know there were a lot of different circumstances in that year, not just in Major League Baseball, just in the world, and the way that everyone had to go about their business for a few months, and really the whole year in general. So like you can excuse 2020. It was also a 60-game sample. So, but then 2021 happens, and it was very, very bad. He was one of the worst hitters in baseball, and you know it was so bad to the point where it's like, well, he can't be that bad again. So, like, you know, let's see how he does in 2022. And then 2022, he was better, but still a below league average bat and just a player in general. I had him on my F4 team, and he had about maybe 2 wins above replacement. So, yeah, it's strange because we've all seen what he can do. He was literally an MVP.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I really don't know how long we're going to talk about his potential because I don't even think I blame people for doing it now, especially since he's, you know, going on a new team now and whatnot.
Yeah, and it should be noted when he won that MVP, he was in his age 23 season.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would only expect.
It's not like he was, you know, 29 in his peak years.
Right. Like this is where he should be getting better. Mm-hmm. Instead, he's getting worse.
Like way worse.
But yeah, I mean, I guess he's 27. He still has time to develop and get it back. Which is good. But yeah, I think for the Cubs, you know, they're not a small market team by any chance, so giving a guy like this $17.5 million is not a big deal. And, you know, it could work out, but I don't know. I don't expect much more than like a 110 OPS plus from him this year.
That's fair.
I don't know. I need to see it to believe it again.
I think it's a good move for the Cubs just for, you know, roster purposes for 2023. I mean, when you look up and down the lineup for the current year, there's a whole lot of players that you're kind of turning your head and questioning. Cody Bellinger at least is a guy.
Yeah.
That we know for sure is a guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can play baseball.
Yeah. He's done it before.
He might put up a 630 OPS, but at least, you know, there's some level of confidence with him coming into the season.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know if a change of scenery is what he needs. I don't think it is what he needs. I think I'm not a coach or anything, so I can't identify exact things. But there's some things that need to be changed for sure with Bellinger.
No doubt.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess this has potential, but again, I need to see it to believe it. All right. So that is the Cubs.
He's the Chicago Cubs.
They signed Swanson, Taillon, and Bellinger. Now we move on to the Boston Red Sox, who lost a lot, but they gained back some. They signed Masataka Yoshida, a Japanese league player, who in 2022 had a 16% walk rate, 8% strikeout rate, and a 336, 449, 559, 1007 slash line. He also had 420 home run, 20 double seasons in Japan. What did you think about the Red Sox signing Yoshida?
There's obviously a lot of, you know, question with guys who come over from Japan, because, you know, for fair reason, we never really know how they're going to adapt to the big leagues. It's a much different game over there. However, the Japanese league is very pitcher friendly, especially last year. The league ERA, I believe, was 3.16.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a Cy Young candidate over here. In America or Major League Baseball. I guess there was a team in Canada. In North America, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those numbers are not to be taken lightly, especially the power numbers. I mean, the Japan League is definitely less of a of an ISO league, so to speak, than Major League Baseball. A lot more contact hitting and less power hitting. So to see, a 223 isolated power, that's no joke.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's very good.
And also the walk rate. I don't think he's going to put up an 8% strikeout rate over here. It's probably going to be higher. That's fine. I don't even really care if it's like 20%. Like, I really wouldn't be bothered that much. But, yeah.
Yeah, he clearly was very good in Japan, considering, the walk to strikeout numbers, and, him being able to do that and hit the ball for power with, 20 home runs, 20 doubles in the same season 4 times. However, there might be some growing pains, because I looked up, I was like, 1,007 OPS, that's great. That's great to have. So then I looked up Seiya Suzuki, who, he signed a deal.
Was injured last year.
He was injured last year, but he signed a deal with the Cubs last year after, a successful career in the Japan League. And Suzuki was someone who, he had a 1069 OPS in the Japanese League. And it didn't translate last year. There were some injuries. Did have to miss some time. But, he went from a 1069 OPS in Japan to a 770 OPS in the MLB in 2022. So, I'm going to be wary of the statistics. However, there's definitely more factors. They're 2 different players, 2 different human beings. So we'll see about it. But they spent 5 years, $90 million. What'd you think about that?
I mean, there's a lot of questioning over the dollar amount that they signed him for. I don't really care. I'm going to be honest. I really don't care. The Red Sox have plenty of money, even though they're not acting in such a way.
Right.
I don't care. I really don't.
Exactly. Especially considering the market. Like, I don't know. It'll be good to have him out there as a I don't know, left fielder, right fielder.
Yeah.
See what he does. I wonder how he is defensively. I don't think there was much of a report on that. Hopefully he's like average or so. And they get Kike back in center field next year, hopefully for a full season. Verdugo will man either left or right, and this guy will probably man either left or right as well.
Correct.
But that was not the only action the Red Sox took. They signed a closer, Kenley Jansen, to a 2-year, $32 million deal. What did you think about that one?
I think it's a better move than most people realize. I mean, they got him for 2 years, $32 million.
Yeah.
So $16 million a year. He is on the older side, but I think last year was closer to peak Kenley than we've seen in a while.
Right.
From him, he does occasionally have his stretches where he struggles. Every closer has that, but Kenley seems to get it a lot more, from the fans.
Exactly.
It happened in Atlanta. It happened in L.A. He got booed off the mound in L.A.
We have seen that before.
Yeah, but I think he's still a very solid pitcher. He's going to be a good, for whenever the Red Sox do have ninth inning leads, I think he'll be much better than anyone they put out there last year at any point.
Yeah.
The Red Sox mightily struggled in the ninth inning last year. It felt like the ninth inning was like an automatic blown save at one point in the season every single year, no matter what the score was. Yeah,
they haven't had a closer for a full year since 2018.
Yeah.
In 2019,
they had Josh A. Smith closing games.
Yeah, Kimbrel went on the free agent market, signed with the Cubs, and the Red Sox Brandon Workman
was a solid closer that year. 3.6 hits per 9.
But he didn't become the closer until June or July.
Exactly.
2020 that wasn't a thing.
No.
2021, Matt Barnes was the closer for the first half of the year. Then he struggled, and then he was not the closer anymore. Last year it was
Garrett Whitlock, and then they made him a starter.
Right. There's just no permanent fixture there. Yeah. So I guess it will be convenient to have that option out of the pen for the Red Sox. I did write some notes for Jansen. Kenley Jansen in 2022 had his highest strikeout rate and lowest expected ERA in 5 years, and also the lowest line drive rate in the StatCast era that he allowed. So in 8 seasons of pitching, he had never allowed a line drive rate lower than he did last year. And the strikeout rate and expected ERAs statistics, those are especially important to look at. And like when you say he had the best year in terms of those statistics in 5 years, you're talking 2017, you're talking peak Kenley. So, that's always a good sign. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out for the Red Sox. Any more thoughts on that one?
No, honestly, really not.
So yeah, it's an LA party in Boston because Justin Turner also went to the Red Sox. He signed for 2 years, $22 million. Kind of a switch off unintentionally by the Dodgers and Red Sox. Dodgers got JD Martinez, Red Sox got Justin Turner. What'd you think about that?
I mean, I like the move. I think Turner's still pretty underrated in general as a player. He had a just sub 800 OPS last year, and I think he can get back to that 800 mark, even though he is 38. I think the one real concern that I have with him, there are many great perks about his batted ball profile, specifically that he doesn't hit a lot of ground balls and also that he doesn't strike out. He does hit a lot of fly balls. The issue is that a lot of them are to the opposite field. And as a right-hander, that's not going to play as well at Fenway, especially when he is 38 and he's aging, and he's probably not going to have as much power next year as he did the year before, and that's just going to become a thing every year. So It's great if he keeps lifting the ball as much as he is. He's going to need to start pulling them, though, because the Green Monster will play him very well, but that right field is tough.
Yeah.
If I'm showing you this is his fly ball spray chart last year, and you see
it's favoring
how many he has on this side versus that side.
It's definitely favoring the right and center as opposed to the left. Mm-hmm. Not a great sign. However, what can be noted with Justin Turner, started the year very bad, but ended on a very good note. His final 68 games, he had a 342, 412, 529, 941 slash line, along with a 15% strikeout rate, 10% walk rate, and 90.1 miles per hour exit velocity. So he ended the year very great. JD Martinez was kind of the opposite. He started the year great and ended very badly. So I guess if you're looking for an argument that Turner was a better signing, you could say like he has, I guess, technically more momentum heading into this season than JD does. But should be interesting. He'll probably take more of a DH role. I've also seen conversation about him playing some first base, which wouldn't be bad considering he could platoon at first base for Cassis.
Yeah. And
then against righties be the DH while Cassis plays first base.
There's a lot of fear about him coming in to replace Rafael Devers.
I
don't buy it. He's 38 and he is on a 2-year deal.
Like
that's a whole different conversation to be had because June Lee had in a report that in the negotiations that they are galaxies apart, and that Devers camp believes he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, which is fantastic. I'm sure that's exactly what Red Sox fans want to hear right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
And the crazy thing, I don't know how accurate this is, but Hector Gomez had a report that said Devers wants It was like 9 years, $300 million, like 10 years, $325, or 11, $360. I would sign him to any of those right now.
Yeah.
That almost seems like a steal.
Yeah, especially considering age.
He's what, 26 now?
Yeah.
Like if you sign him to a 9-year deal, he's going into his mid to late 30s.
Right. And it's not like someone who necessarily relies on like athleticism or like he just has a great bat. I guess maybe a fear is like you'll have to make him a DH probably midway into that contract.
Who cares?
But like I don't know, they have so much money available. They
just had a DH of relatively the same age for 5 years.
Right. That
was one of the best free agent signings that the team has probably ever had in team history.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, this ownership group has so much money, they're not spending it, they just have been very, like, just this particular offseason.
Yeah. John Henry also has not spoken to the media since before COVID.
Right. Yeah, since the Mookie Betts trade. So yeah, it's crazy. The Red Sox fans, I found them to be on the internet, like during the year, particularly whiny, and now it's very justified. What they're whining about, because it's not even about Kyle Schwarber and Hunter Renfroe anymore. It's about real things.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber and Hunter Renfroe, that got very tired, and I don't think they would have made us any better.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have gotten us to 500.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
100%.
We still would have finished last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was annoying, but yeah, this is real problems. Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers, those are people that you want to try to keep.
Yep.
There's no other way of putting it.
Absolutely. So, we'll see how it goes. I guess that segues into the Los Angeles Dodgers. I guess we can start by talking about JD, since we just talked about Justin Turner. What'd you think about him going to LA?
As a Red Sox fan, it hurts knowing that he and Mookie are reunited. That sucks a lot.
Yeah.
He had a very big power decline last year. He only got 1 year, $10 million, not a lot, which makes sense because he's a 35-year-old DH. But there's a lot of questioning over the Red Sox paying more for a 38-year-old DH instead of the 35-year-old DH they had. Ironically, I do think Turner has slightly more upside than JD. Yeah. But I really do mean slightly. His isolated power last year was 174. That's the worst it's been in a full season since 2013. Since literally his Astros days. It was 1 point higher in 2020 when he struggled. But that's a whole different thing, and you can't, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, he got released by the Astros the last time his ISO was anywhere near that. Yeah,
he also had a 3 mile per hour drop in average exit velocity from 2021 to 2022.
That's a big problem, especially considering he's another guy that goes to the opposite way on fly balls.
Right, and a 7.7% drop in hard hit rate.
Outside of 2020, it was also the lowest OPS plus he's had in the season since 2013.
Yeah,
And he also started out the season hot. He was an all-star, so...
Right.
Let me see
his
struggles started.
He was having some great BABIP luck at the time.
He was having amazing BABIP luck. I forgot about that.
He was BABIPing 400. It was pretty nuts. But he was leading in hits, which is the most important stat.
From July 13th on, he had a 673 OPS. Yeah. That's not ideal. And from... Yeah, I bet there's even worse ones that I can... That's probably as bad as it's going to get. Yeah, I mean, from August 2nd on, he had that's average 748. Yeah, point is, second half of the season, he was a below-average hitter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do kind of, just on paper, I think I like Turner more than Martinez. Mm-hmm. However, I think Martinez... They
are very similar in many ways, though.
Yeah, and also Martinez is he's been a part of the Red Sox culture for 5 years now. Mm-hmm. Was seen as kind of like a secondary hitting coach.
I wanted him to retire with the Red Sox and become the hitting coach when he was done. Yeah. I have no idea if he ever intends on becoming a coach. I have no idea if the Red Sox ever plan on speaking with him again until 2028 when it's the 10-year anniversary of the 2018 team. And bringing people back. Yeah. Because the Red Sox, there's one thing about their ownership group, and that's they love to party. They will find any excuse whatsoever to reminisce on the good old days and get people down to Fenway Park. They retired Ortiz's number the year after he retired, even though he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. They normally wait until people go into the Hall of Fame to retire numbers, but they did so for David Ortiz the year after he retired. I still don't understand that because, the team was already good that year anyway. It's not like they needed help selling tickets in the 2017 when they won the division. Yeah. And not only that, but he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's not like they were planning on just giving out 34 between 2016 and 2022 anyway.
Right, yeah.
And the greatest example of all time, I'm sure you've heard of this, Chris, was in 2012.
Yeah.
The 8-year anniversary of the 2004 World Series champion team.
Yeah, I wasn't... I don't think I was watching games at the time.
No, I wasn't, but I heard about it years later.
Yes, me too.
And I was like, absurd. Yo, there's no way. There's no way. They are so lucky that 2013 was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're gonna bring out all the stops.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to bring in half the Cubs coaching staff. David Ross is the manager. Mike Napoli's the first base coach.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think do the Cubs come to Fenway this year?
They might. I mean,
they did go to Wrigley last season,
yeah.
So it would make sense theoretically.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make sense theoretically.
I'm checking that currently.
But yeah, the Red Sox ownership group is interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think at the time of the Mookie Betts trade, you could still be like, it sucked that it happened, and you as a Red Sox fan were, rightfully.
The Cubs do not come to town.
But fans were rightfully upset at the ownership group. However, you could at least cut them a little bit of slack of like they've been spending top dollar for like 15 years now. Like, they let this guy go. It sucks, but hopefully it's not a pattern of behavior. And now it's looking more like a pattern of behavior, which is upsetting, and it's not what any Red Sox fans signed up for. Because it just hasn't been this way for a very long time. All right. Past the Red Sox, we were already past the Red Sox, but I
feel like we should get into JD Martinez and the Dodgers. I'm gonna be honest, Chris. I think we are close to, if not at the point of the Padres being better than the Dodgers on paper. That doesn't mean I'm saying the Padres will win the division, but right now I think the Dodgers are tanking for Shohei.
Yeah, right.
And their version of tanking is, all right, guys, we're only gonna win 95 games this year.
We're only gonna spend $240 million on a team this year.
We're only going to be like a fraction above the luxury tax.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, the only deal they made was JD Martinez and Noah Syndergaard, who is, not as intimidating as he once was pre-Tommy John surgery and everything. But yeah, that is an interesting argument. I mean, it's weird because for me, I would have to look at like each position and like tag them out. Because I mean, the Dodgers still have a very talented team with Will Smith, Freddie Freeman. But yeah, I mean, they just lost both Turners, which is not very good. They lost Tyler Anderson, which is one of their better starters. But, and they only added JD Martinez and Noah Syndergaard. Maybe there's something in the trade market that they go out and get. They can always surprise you like that.
Yeah.
But as far as it is now, yeah, the Dodgers have been kind of quiet.
They have been, and I mean, there's not really much noise left to be made. I mean, the top free agents left are like Jerks and Profar and Michael Conforto.
Yeah.
And I mean, who's really, what's the biggest name that has potential to be traded right now? Maybe Rafael Devers, but I highly doubt that. Yeah,
there's always names that are going to be floated out there. I think Shane Bieber was kind of floated out there.
I don't think they're going to trade him.
And Brandon Woodruff, but it just both teams are not tanking.
Yeah, exactly.
Both teams are kind of competitive. Guardians definitely. Brewers are sort of competitive.
Yeah, they are acknowledging that they have a team capable of winning the division.
Yeah,
and being snuffed out of the first round.
Yeah, for sure.
If they have to score one run a game and they have a chance, but that's not a guarantee.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then when you look at the Padres, they added Xander Bogaerts, but from 2022 to 2023, they're also adding Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes. They also just...
Which is a big factor.
I'm not going to act like I expect the same out of him, but they also did just sign Matt Carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
Who, is of course going to put up a 700 slugging percentage again this year.
Right.
That was so wild, that whole thing. He was very clearly retiring, and then he just came back and was like a legit Babe Ruth.
Yeah, extremely weird.
For 150 plate appearances, and then he came back in the playoffs and literally did not hit the baseball one time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah,
they have Seth Lugo as a projected starter.
Oof. Yeah, I don't know.
Oof.
Who
the Padres?
The Padres.
They just signed him.
He started in the World Baseball Classic. I remember that. Yeah, interesting. But I mean, Fangraphs makes that, not the Padres.
That's
so
true.
Who knows?
Darvish, Musgrove, Snell, Nick Martinez, Seth Lugo. Who do they still have in the farm? Adrian Morejon, Jay Groom.
Yeah, it's not great.
Ryan Weathers.
Yeah.
Who, walked a lot of people.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly in 2021. But also struck out a lot of people. So everyone was like, this guy's really good. Yeah,
the Padres for sure have a good 2023 team, but yeah, I think Darvish and Snell are free agents after the end of the year.
He gave up a lot of home runs.
And Machado could opt out at the end of the year too, so they'll have some work to do. But yeah, the 2023 Padres, especially
because we've talked about. Sorry to cut you off, but we've talked about how this year might be the last in their window.
Yeah, and considering, also should consider should feel very optimistic about them after their playoff run last year.
Darvish is a free agent. Blake Snell is a free agent.
Josh
Manny
Hader.
Machado, Josh Hader. Juan Soto's a year would be in a contract year in 2024, which means they could trade him if they don't plan on keeping him.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the route to keeping Josh Hader to keeping Juan Soto, is you let Machado walk.
Yeah.
And you let Snell walk, and you let Darvish walk. Or maybe you don't even let them walk. You could probably sign them to much cheaper deals, especially Darvish, because he's going to be... How old is he going to be next year?
36, maybe?
37. Yeah, I think he'll be going into his age 37 season next year.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a lot of money cleared up, but you're also going to have to pay him, way more than you've paid anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably going to get more than Tatis.
Yeah, unless he does what he did last year.
I don't see that though. I think
it would be tough. Yeah, tough to see that.
I mean, I don't think he has a bit of a down year like he did last year, especially after he went to San Diego, because he was probably so thrown off by that whole thing.
Right.
All he did was reject a contract offer, and it was okay, you're playing your last games here. Goodbye.
Yeah.
He had probably 2 weeks notice that he was going to be going to a different team.
Yeah.
And it came down to the last day.
Yeah, true. And the whole Eric Hosmer, Luke Voigt thing, that was fun. Fun day. I just remember, we recorded the NECBL podcast that day.
Yep. Yeah, dude, after the Newport playoff game, which was one of the best games ever.
Oh, it was so fun. Yeah.
There were 3 peak NECBL days for me. It was the All-Star game, the Newport game, and then the championship game. Yeah. 2 of which were in Martha's Vineyard.
Shout out to the NECBL.
For real though.
Catch the league this upcoming summer.
From early June to early August.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 months.
So by the way, the Sanford Mainers posted on their story recently. It was 2 people that were doing a draft of animals I wish I domesticated, and moose was one of them. And they put it on their story and was did they just the way they said it was so funny. They're did this person just endorse the meese? And now I'm obsessed with the plural of moose being meese, even though that's very much not a thing.
Damn.
Yeah. Shout out to the Mainers for winning the Newport game.
Yeah,
we were at.
Shout out to the Afton brothers.
Shout out to the Aftons, sure. Quinn McDaniel, Adam Dapkowitz, Nick Lops.
Yep.
Shout out to don't know how much. I mean, I guess I can say this on this program, but shout out to Sticky Substances.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, earlier in the episode, we talked about the Cubs and the deals they made. They lost a guy over the offseason. They lost Willson Contreras to free agency, and he's signed with the rival Cardinals. Taking the place of Yadier Molina, who was with the Cardinals for 19 years, I believe. What do you think about Contreras to the Cardinals?
It feels like, I don't think the deal will go similarly, but it feels like Dexter Fowler all over again. More so with the contract is very similar, and also just the going from the Cubs to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make a very nice addition to that lineup. they've, with all due respect to Yadier Molina, they've really lacked at the catcher position for a few years now, offensively speaking.
Right.
And Willson Contreras is he's consistently been one of the better offensive catchers in the league. His defense is pretty good too. It's been a little inconsistent through the years, but it's someone you can at least rely on.
Yeah.
This will make them a better team. They have a very interesting looking lineup for many reasons.
Yeah, for sure. And just some just guys who are definitely known for their defense instead of their offense. Contreras, I put in the notes. He's the only catcher to have 3 Tony home run seasons since 2019. So he has some power from the catcher position that you don't really see very often right now. I think this is a fair deal. I think if I were a Cardinals fans, I would have maybe wanted 1 year less on the deal, considering he's going into his age 31 season. But in this market, 5 years is like 2 seconds compared to...
It really does. It's starting to feel like that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time JD Martinez was a free agent, and now he is again.
Right.
After a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 5 years felt like nothing.
Yeah, 5 years.
Maybe COVID helped with that, but...
Right.
I don't know.
But yeah, Contreras gets a 5-year, $87.5 million deal. I think it's fair. I think, not often do you get catchers who can potentially slug 450 in a season. He's not bad defensively, as you mentioned. Has decent framing and pop time numbers.
Yep.
And, add that to his offense. I think that's a pretty valuable catcher to have. I like the deal for the Cardinals. I think you made good points. They've been lacking from the catcher position offensively. Now they have someone who's going to be able to deliver some power, along with Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It was really the only action the Cardinals took, but I don't think this was a bad move. I think this is going to end up good for at least a couple of years.
It's also not that outrageous of a contract, like you mentioned.
Yeah, not that outrageous. I think it's just solid. I think
it's literally just solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think there's not a ton of risk in this deal.
Yeah.
Of course, things could always go south in many ways, but I think the Cardinals are getting a good one here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
They always make one move every year where it's that's a move. Obviously Steven Matz didn't work out too well, but that was their one move of last offseason and beforehand. One thing that we didn't mention, by the way, it's not in our prep sheet, I would like to bring it up though, is Brandon Drury signed with the Angels.
Oh yeah,
for an absolute steal of a contract, in my opinion. $8.5 million a year, I think it is.
Yeah, honestly, the Angels are just outside of Renfroe, it's signing guys who I have no idea what to expect from them next year.
I'm excited. I'm gonna be honest. I am excited. I know that I'm playing my own game of the try not to believe in this team challenge, like I mentioned before, but this team has so much more depth now than they have before.
That's true.
If you look at some of the guys they were giving, consistent playing time to last year, Andrew Velazquez got 350 plate appearances last year, and he put up a 58 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
They had Phil Gosselin on their team in 2022. Not 2012, 2022. Like that can't be happening. That this in this timeline, they gave Matt Duffy plate appearances. In fact, 250 of them. They were still giving David Fletcher consistent playing time. They gave Tyler Wade 160 plate appearances. Andrew Velazquez had a 53 OPS plus. They still had Kurt Suzuki.
Yeah,
That's bad.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the people, they gave Magneuris Sierra almost 100 plate appearances. He had a 442 OPS.
Mm-hmm.
This team, I didn't even realize they had Jonathan VR, but they did, and it was only like 50 plate appearances, not a lot. But if you look at some of the guys the Angels gave plate appearances last year, it's no secret why they went 73 and 89. But they actually have depth this year. For the first time in what feels like forever.
Yeah, true. Drury definitely is an upgrade from whatever else they had. And he's someone who definitely improved a lot last year. He improved, just his general batted ball profile, barrel rate. It'll be interesting to see what he brings to the Angels. The Angels, I don't know. I'm always a little skeptical of.
As you should be. The Angels are a proceed with caution kind of team.
Yeah. But yeah, between them and the Rangers, I can't really give a firm answer right now.
Here's the thing. Perry Manassian's trying.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I don't think he has done a bad job as GM in the 3 years that he's been there now.
Yeah, these mid-range deals that he's been signing with Anderson and Drury, those are not owner moves.
No.
This is him going about work.
Hunter Renfroe as well. Gio Urshela as well. Maybe Gio Urshela is not going to produce like he did in 2019.
Yeah,
but he's not Andrew Velazquez.
Yeah, exactly. And look at Anderson. Mm-hmm. He got 3 years, $39 million in a market where Taijuan Walker got 4 years, $72 million.
Exactly.
And Taillon got 4 years, $68 million.
And you know what? He signed that in November before any of that happened.
Yeah, and Anderson, Tyler Anderson.
If Tyler Anderson waited a month, he probably could have gotten a lot more. Yeah,
Tyler Anderson was someone who, I think he was an all MLB nominee this past year after a 2.57 ERA and a 3.10 expected ERA, 3.31 FIP from Tyler Anderson. He was he got Cy Young votes, I'm pretty sure. And they got him for $13 million a year in this market.
And not only that, but you can expect a good step up from Patrick Sandoval. I think the only thing I really want to see out of him is more innings pitched. Yeah. A 2.91 ERA is undeniable. He only did it in 148 2/3 innings pitched, though, so I would like to see more of that.
Yeah.
And then Reed Detmers, he had a strong second half. He was a how about that of yours, and you touched on a lot of specific things he can improve on that are in his control.
Yeah.
That he was doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And Jose Suarez, I think, is pretty underrated. If that's your 5, then that's a good 5.
Yeah.
It's a respectable 5, no doubt.
Yeah, I think with the Angels, we have to look at, you don't want to look at the rest of the AL West. You want to look at right now, the 5-6 seed team, the secondary wild card teams.
Yeah.
They're not near the Astros level yet, probably not at the Mariners level, but they could, there's always potential for them to maybe snag a wild card spot, especially with the 12-team format now.
I know that Brandon Drury is, not the premier player on this team, but do you think that this solidifies them as a better team than the Rangers on paper going into this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think both teams are similar in where I see some great players, and then I see, not much behind them. But adding Drury and Tyler Anderson helps them out a little bit. They also didn't lose anything in free agency, I don't think. Let's be honest, the only valuable pieces they can lose are Trout and Ohtani. So it's not like they can't.
Neither of our two great players went to free agency.
Yeah.
So we had a great offseason as far as what we're missing from last year.
Yeah, I think it is a debate. I think it was a debate before them getting Drury too. because, like, I don't know. I mean, the Rangers won 68 games last year. You always have to remember that, even with all the signings they've made. So
They did have the one-run games thing, though.
they did, and the Angels won 73 games, I think.
Yes.
So I don't know. They're even. I think they were even before. They're even now. So yeah, that is going to be an interesting topic of conversation. Do we want to talk a little bit about the only real big trade that happened in this big mess of an of a winter meeting / off season?
The 3-team trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sean Murphy.
Talking about the trade.
Sean Murphy got traded to the Braves. Willson Contreras got traded to the Brewers. Not much got traded to Oakland.
Really not much. It's such a sad trade for the A's.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy had 3 years of control. The Braves had been a little too quiet for my liking.
Yeah.
During the winter meetings, especially with what the rest of the division was doing. Mostly the Mets and Phillies, the Marlins and Nats have not done much. The Marlins haven't signed a free agent either, by the way.
Yeah.
That's something we can get into later, but the Marlins, I think, have been very questionable in how they've run their team over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sean Murphy is going to slide in as, probably like the 5 or 6 hitter in this lineup that has Acuna and Harris and Riley, Olsen, Albies, Vaughn Grissom, Ozuna, whatever's left of Ozuna from the Braves.
Yeah.
He's a very good catcher. He's a guy that they can probably lock up on another team-friendly deal. I don't even think it's going to be, that outrageous of a deal. I mean, a Sean Murphy contract, I'd probably think like maybe 6-7 years for like 18-19 mil a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get away with not having to pay him an outrageous amount of money.
Yeah, Murphy is heading into his age 28 season. He's
in a perfect time of his career to sign one of those team-friendly extensions. He's about to start arbitration. I'm sure the Braves would love to just sim through all that and be like, hey, here's this.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's 3 years past her free agency or so.
Right. So yeah, and I think what Murphy brings that maybe the Braves haven't really had on their roster is very elite defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's already won a Gold Glove before. I think that was in 2021, and he's just someone who he has really good defense. He was in the 86th percentile of framing last year, 96th percentile of pop time to second base last year. Catches guys stealing better than most guys in the league, and on top of that, he's a good hitter. Mm-hmm. He was 22% above average offensively last year. So, I mean, that's a great combination. He's very valuable right now, and the fact that he went to the Braves for as little as he did is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's people talk about like, oh, we need to investigate the Braves, and it's not just a free agent thing; it's a trade thing.
Right.
I think Willson Contreras is a very valuable piece. He's only going into his age 24 season. Yeah. And I think he has potential to be the best offensive player on Milwaukee next year.
Yeah.
He certainly gives them a lot of what they lack. Probably the best. I mean, the last good offensive catcher they had to have been Omar Narvaez, which, granted, that is the last catcher they had, period. But I wouldn't say he was particularly good in 2022.
Yeah.
And, he's going to add a lot. The Brewers, it looks like, have been very stuck with the Yelich contract to where they haven't spent anything else. Yeah. Yelich had the highest ground ball to fly ball ratio in terms of ground ball last year, so that was pretty ugly.
Right, yeah. I
believe he hit 2.5 more ground balls than fly balls last year.
Yeah, Yelich has been particularly bad with the ground balls. And yeah, you make a good point with Contreras being a good piece. I think there's a solid argument that the Brewers turned out the best in this deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what did they give up? They gave up a guy who was in the Hader trade.
Yeah.
Perez.
They got a 25-year-old catcher who just came off a year in which he was in the 90th percentile expected slugging, 91st percentile barrel rate. Just he hits the ball hard, hits the ball well, and I think like that's a pretty valuable asset to have. It may be a guy who has only really had one good season, but he's also 25, and there's value to be had, and you didn't really have to give up anything for him.
The A's are going to be tough to watch next season.
Oh my god.
I mean, they're really going to there might not be a team out there that's relying more heavily on development than the A's.
Yeah.
Not for we need these guys to be good so we can be good. It's like we need these guys to be good so we can exist.
Right.
Quite literally, so we can exist as the Oakland A's.
Right. Yeah. Because these are the types of seasons that are gonna precede like a move.
Yes.
Like.
It sucks. Like the Oakland fans have just been shoved into a locker, with like the Raiders moving, the Warriors moving. Did the Warriors move to San Francisco? Correct. Which I mean, they can still very easily root for the Warriors, but and then with the A's, it's like. The team has no interest in spending. They never have. They made a whole movie about how the team doesn't spend, and don't get me wrong, it's a fun movie for baseball fans, but ultimately, I think there's a fair argument to be made that it's hurt the A's more than it's helped. 2002 was cool and all, but what has it meant for the last 20 years?
Right.
And you have guys like Matt Chapman, Matt Olson that get traded and ultimately just leave this barren wasteland of a team that is in a fake stadium. And of course fans aren't going to come out to watch, and the ownership is going to look at these results and be like, oh, well, we're just going to move because clearly the people in Oakland don't want to watch this team. And it's like, no city would want to watch this team.
Yeah.
Literally no city would want to watch a team. No disrespect to any of these people listed, but like, no team wants to see Tony Kemp at leadoff. No one wants to see Ramon Laureano as the 3-hitter. Jace Peterson as the cleanup hitter. Yeah. And like Cole Irvin as the ace.
Yeah.
Cole Irvin's very good, very underrated, don't get me wrong. He's a 3-4 at best.
Yeah. Yeah, and he'll probably be traded this season.
He probably will be traded.
Like, it sucks. This is what, this is the opposite spectrum of Steve Cohen.
Yeah.
Like, of owners not trying to win, not even attempting. And the idea of trading someone like Sean Murphy is, you'll get prospects back, you'll be able to develop, and maybe these guys will be good in 3 or 4 years. Or at least come up in 3 or 4 years and be good in 5-6 years. But that's not even happening.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
Yeah.
I think you put it pretty well there. Over all the FIFA cheering, I think, that's going on downstairs. Yeah, we record in different places. And today we're recording in my room because we're not sure if we could get the podcast equipment in Weiser. It's, our last day of finals. I think tomorrow's the makeup day of finals. So
I didn't know there was such a thing.
It's weird times in college for sure.
Yeah.
But we're in my room, and
you gotta love a college that lets you out on December 21st.
Yes, because we need to get back after Labor Day. Summer's not long enough. It's only 4 months. Yeah. But won't really be a summer next year, unfortunately. Not to get dark.
No. That's terrifying, but yeah.
The last significant signing, I'd say, to get into,
yes.
Our favorite guy, well, definitely your favorite
Definitely
guy.
my favorite guy, for sure.
Josh Bell.
Yeah, look at Cleveland. Look at the Dolans spending some money.
Wow.
You never thought it would happen. I mean, what, they spent 2 years, $32 million. Hey, man, you love to see it.
Yeah.
You really love to see it.
We've emphasized this point, and actually Sarah Langs had a tweet about it that, she probably knew about this information but didn't want to crap all over Josh Bell. But, Josh Bell, the difference maker is whether he hits the ball in the air or not. He has a ground ball problem. When he got traded to San Diego mid-season last year.
Which is why Cleveland's the perfect place for him.
Yeah.
He'll be in a lineup with Stephen Kwan, Miles Straw,
Yeah.
Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, all of which are primary ground ball hitters.
Yeah, but he's fantastic when he lifts the ball.
The problem is most of those people are fast. He's not.
Yeah, he's not fast. He's better when he lifts the ball in the air. However, he's had a ground ball problem. When he got traded from the Nationals to the Padres, that ground ball problem reappeared.
Yeah, it was a thing in 2020. It really started being a thing in 2020. It re-emphasized itself in 2021 when he got traded to the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And into 2022, it looked like it had been getting better. And then he went to the Padres, and he was fantastic at the start of the season. He was probably playing his best baseball since 2019 when he was an all-star in Cleveland. He was in the home run derby that year, in fact.
Yeah.
And he got traded, and it became worse than it ever was.
Yeah. Yeah, it got pretty rough. I guess the potential optimism with his ground ball hitting is the shift not being a thing next year.
Yeah.
There's some slight advantages when he doesn't have the infield shifted against him. In his career, he slugs .484 against a standard infield, but when he shifted, it's .411.
I mean, it makes sense because he's a guy that hits the ball really hard, and ground balls are just very much harder to make plays on when they're harder hit. It's pretty basic. And yeah, when you're hitting it to more favorable sides of the field, such as in a standard shift, it's going to be harder to make the play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do still think he needs to lift the ball. If I want a ground ball rate just below 50%.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 49.9%. Just get it below 50, please.
Yeah.
Please, Josh.
That's being nice. 49.9% is still above league average.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's fun that the Cleveland Guardians spent in free agency. Don't usually see that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. Who was playing first base before that?
Josh Naylor.
They
have Bell DHing.
Okay, so yeah.
They had Gabriel Arias in their playoff lineups.
It'll be good to have him in the DH role.
Yes. And the cleanup hitters as well. He'll go nicely with Jose Ramirez, 2 switch hitters back to back.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, with Bell, there's a ton of potential. However, he's been unfulfilling in certain cases, certain time frames.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been good. All right.
That's basically it.
That's all the signings so far. Even the future signings, they're not going to be much to talk about.
There's really not a
lot. Oh wow, Nathan Eovaldi got 2 years, $30 million. That's crazy.
That's crazy. How does this affect LeBron's legacy?
Yeah.
I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to record, I'm going to be honest. Because, I'm pretty sure this is our last show before Christmas.
Yeah.
I can't imagine us doing anything before then. And then I am going to be away for much of the time between Christmas and New Year's. So I think this will probably be our last pod of 2022.
Yeah. So how about that?
How about that?
I think on our next show we'll definitely dive into the Hall of Fame a little more.
We should, yeah, I agree. The BBWA ballot.
We still haven't talked about the results of that contemporary era ballot.
Yeah, I thought we did.
I don't think we did.
Oh, well, shout out to Fred McGriff for real.
Yeah, congratulations.
No, I could have sworn we did.
We previewed it.
007. Or was that previewing it?
We previewed it.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. You're right.
But I don't think we recapped it, but nothing to do right now.
Yeah, well, shout out to Fred McGriff. Yeah, you're right. We haven't gone over it. Wow.
Yeah. Well, because that happened, and then a billion free agents signed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Literally, yes. It was the start of the winter meetings.
Yes, that happened. But yeah, shout out to Fred McGriff. Shout out to all the free agents getting their money.
Yeah.
This offseason.
Except for Jose Quintana, who did not get his money.
Yeah, he didn't get his money.
Brandon Drury didn't get his money.
Zach Eflin and Tyler Anderson.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't wait until December so that they could get $100 million deals.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all we got for this episode. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow the Instagram at Chris Gianta. Also follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will probably be talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame. We will see you then.
This conversation is over.